Every day, every
Sorry.
day, every day in the morning and evening, we do our prayers. After our tea at night, we used to have our supper and then go to bed by 10 or 10:30. But as our tea time became later, we had supper earlier before our tea. So Najat was free of the kitchen. Mehera goes to bed very late. She feels she wants to be with Baba after everyone has gone to sleep and it's all quiet. Because Mehera goes to bed sometimes at 1 a.m., Goher calls her to wake up at 6 or so. Morning arti is said at 7:30 a.m. Do we want to read the asterisk?
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
There. Mehera set the alarm, but just as it was about to go off every morning, she turned it off and dozed for another 15 minutes. Okay. Morning arti is set at 7:30 a.m. For both morning and evening artis, Mehera stood by the window opposite Baba's bed, where her seat was in Baba's time. Where her seat was in Baba's time.
What does that mean?
Let me think about it.
During Baba's life, while she was with Baba.
Oh, okay.
And probably she was right back there when she was doing it, being in that same room, and faced Baba's bed. After breakfast, Mehera dusted the pictures in Baba's room. Certain photos I cleaned myself, she said. And then the dagger says, Mehru did the other dusting. Is Mehera continuing. When the bird's food outside is finished, I add more. I wind my clock, clean my own dressing table, make my own bed. For Mehera, dusting each picture was like a meditation. Mehru clarified. A communion with Baba. So I tried to get all my things done before she came into the room. While Mehera was in Baba's room, Mehru picked the flowers from the garden for the garlands she and Mehera threaded for Baba's picture. So I'll read that sidebar. I think it's a little lower. Yeah. In later years, as Mehru has stated, as demands on Mehera's time increased, Mehru made the garlands alone. Concerning the garlands, they had to be placed just so. Mehru continued, where Baba's things were concerned, Mehera never missed a thing. Mani's mind is sharp, but if she missed a garland, ooh, my words disappeared.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. Hold on.
But if she missed a garland, I'll read from the book till you find it.
I'm going to get it again. It's just closed it for some unknown
Yeah.
reason.
It just shows her total focus on Baba. Jeez. I mean, that was her life.
Yeah, I'm getting it back now.
Yeah. She was happy about it.
Okay.
Where Baba's things were concerned, Mehera never missed a thing. Mani's mind is sharp, but if she missed a garland, Mehera would point out to straighten it. Mehera could be forgetful of other things, but where Baba's things were concerned, she would be so attentive. Mehera was so particular to tell Casey, the Western helper, to stand out of the way as her shadow was falling on Baba's photo. Casey hadn't seen it as the shadow was behind her. Another painting by Jim Frasino, which used to be in the living room. The slightest angle or tilt, Mehera would scold me. Why didn't you straighten it? Half an inch difference, what does it matter? I asked. She explained. See how that shadow comes straight on Baba's eye? It shouldn't be like that. I never made that mistake again. That's Mani talking to Mehera.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Meru helped Mehera dust the photos in Baba's room. As Mehera lifted each photo, Meru dusted behind it with a peacock feather brush, which did not damage the walls. Mehera sometimes wiped the pictures with the damp cloth, and the sidebar says Meru also used to brush the ceiling for cobwebs. The servant mopped the floor in Baba's bedroom with a wet cloth. I didn't write that, the sidebar above that about Phyllis Ott. In 1980, when the murals were brought for the Mehrabad Pilgrim Center, Mehera praised them, but also pointed out some corrections she wished made by Phyllis Ott, and even posed for some.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite understand that. The small stool in Baba's room was for the kerosene lantern that was always kept burning each evening in Baba's time. Now also the lantern is lit in the evening in case the electricity goes off. Baba told Mehera to keep a kerosene lantern in her bathroom and not to go there in the dark. I need more words. Not to go there in the dark, as once a scorpion was there. A small bulb burns outside by Baba's tree. But if the lights went off, Mehera took the bathroom kerosene lantern and placed it by her window, in her window, so that light was still shining on Baba's face. In the evenings at Mehera-Zad, the screens on the windows in Baba's room are shut before dark. Mehera went to her room and changed her clothes. Previously, Arti was sung regularly before dinner, but as Mehera developed her own time schedule, which could vary each day in the latter years, the others did the Arti on their own. Dinner was at 8:30, but usually Mehera was not hungry. They tried to persuade her to have a little something with them. If nothing else, Meru tried to temper with a cup of soup. After dinner, Mehera might read for a bit. And this is Mehera. I like to read by the light of the sky, said Mehera, not by electric lights. If it is still light outside, I read a bit. My actual nature is rather on the lazy side, she admitted. I don't have as much energy as the others. Nadja has more energy than I do, even though her body is larger. At Mehera-Zad, I go round the garden in the morning to see which vegetables are ripe for picking, which flower bed has good flowers for Baba's tree, his room. Gardening takes up much of my time. Baba has told me to do it. That's why I do it. During the day, I will be working in the garden, absorbed in my work. Sometimes I stop and think, Baba, I love you. Are you with me, Baba? Be with me. In your work, you get absorbed, but you should stop and remember Baba and then go back to work. Every morning I come on the veranda and tell Baba, walk through the garden again as you used to do. I picture Baba walking to the porch from the Mandali side. In the evening, I picture him walking about in the back garden. Once when Sheila visited Mehera on Sunday, Mehera was cleaning Baba's room and allowed Sheila to help her. Mehera told me to hold the case with Baba's sandals while she dusted the table, Sheila recalled. She was so deliberate and careful. She would very slowly remove the dust from the edges while I held the case. Mehera warned Sheila not to shake the case, as if the sandals were alive and Baba would be shaken, cautioning her to hold it steady. Mani explained Mehera treated every article of the beloved with utmost loving gentleness and personal tenderness, as though it were actually a part of himself. I would go to Mehera for lunch, Sheila continued, and bring something my mother had prepared. Whenever Mehera sat for lunch, she always offered the first bite to Baba, as if he were joining us for lunch. After lunch one day, Mehera sat on the veranda and Sheila joined her. Mehera said, somehow, I can't enjoy my food now. Sheila thought that perhaps her mother had not prepared the dish well, but Mehera explained, it is the same food your mother had cooked for Baba. That time it was so tasty, but now, without Baba's physical form, I can't enjoy it. And she started to weep. Who will give me so much love now?
Did you read the sidebar?
No. Mehera was fond of this well-known Hindi couplet of Kabir's. Everyone remembers God during times of trouble, not during peace and happiness. He who remembers God during peace and happiness, why will he ever face sorrow? I love that. Yeah.
That's nice. Marvin, would you like to read?
We weren't finished there
Oh,
at the end because I went to the sidebar.
oh, okay. Who will give me so
That's-
much love now, Mehera?
Yeah.
With a mournful expression. Marvin,
Okay.
did you want to
Pick
read?
up. Yeah, I'll pick up from there. Other things too lost their appeal. Previously, whenever mangoes came, Mehera once remarked, it was like a precious commodity. Nowadays, after Baba dropped his body, no one cares about them. Mani added, now when we have all the things we were short of with Baba, such as butter and cream, we cannot enjoy them. Mehera doesn't really like butter, but Baba said to take it, so she takes a little. Mehera, now when I eat anything, I tell Baba, Baba, eat with me. And I talk to Baba's picture. Baba, did you taste that curry today? Did you feel that taste in your mouth when I ate it? Before eating, I straighten Baba's dining chair, adjust the cushions. Then we all eat. I feel as if Baba is eating with us. I tell Baba, come and eat with me. I go to bed, one sec. I go to bed every day at midnight. I keep Baba's window open till then. Goher and others told me I mustn't keep it open so late. In my mind, I remember a dream Mani had about 5 years ago. Some thieves were coming as Mani heard the whistles from the Mandali side. She and Goher went to close all the windows of the house. The last one she was to close was the one with Baba's tree outside my bed. She thought, should I close this one? She looked at Baba's image. Baba winked at her as if to say, I'm here with you. It's all right. I am here always, protecting you. I still don't close that window, remembering this dream. I say to Goher, Baba's image is there. Baba's divinity is there. Baba is everywhere. And Baba is looking after us. So why should I be afraid? One day, there was a very strong wind at Marisat. Baba's tree was also swaying. Baba's image looked so lovely, moving back and forth, as if Baba was shaking his head. Meru has an order from Baba not to read after 9 p.m. So the others give her her choice of the newspapers and so on, which she quickly reads after dinner. After 9, she listens to the radio till 10:30, while the others go through the paper. Mani goes to bed between 10:30 and 10:45. Goher goes to bed a bit earlier, 9:30. I am in the dining room, sort of meditating, because I think of Baba and all the years we were with him. Let me read that sidebar. The security problem was solved by having latticed steel grills fitted to the windows, which could open and close with a lock for safety. This allowed the free flow of air, and Mara could look close and lock the window as late as she liked. Every little detail of how Baba used to shave there in the dining room, have his breakfast, how I would make tea for him, how he would sip the tea, how sweet he was. I bring all that to mind to imagine, as if Baba is still here. During monsoon season, I tell him, Baba, there's so many hours of the night, at least let it rain for 1 hour. I ask for a little rain now and a little bit later, not all at once. I meditate till 11:30. The watchman's gong goes off. I have a drink of water. Then I go to Baba's room and back to mine. I do things slowly, with love and concentration. I kiss Baba's photo. You can't just do it quickly. It takes time.
Ah, there's some nice pictures. I don't know who that girl is. Is that Sheila?
I think so.
I think Sheila, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They had trouble keeping Mara on time. Got slower and slower. I think she was concentrating more on Baba.
Okay. I could read this page
Okay.
called Dreaming, and said, unless somebody else wants to read, is somebody else here?
No,
No.
no.
Eugene isn't here today. Okay. Khorshid remained in Bombay.
Just so you know, Gene is here. Just so you know.
Oh,
Oh, he is?
Yes.
oh,
Oh,
he's probably co-host. Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted and couldn't find the button.
oh. You want to read this page?
Khorshid remained in Bombay for a number of years after Meher Baba dropped his body. Whenever she visited Mirzad, tensions invariably arose between her and the others. The main reason, Khorshid contended, though everyone else disputes this, was that others were jealous of her special friendship with Mehera. After Baba dropped his body, for example, Khorshid wished to stay permanently at Mirzad. Baba had sent her a letter in 1961 asking whether she would stay with Mehera. Khorshid, however, felt that others did not want this. One reason, in her opinion, was that Khorshid always observed how Mehera wished certain things to be done and then argued with the others. Do as Mehera says, she would exhort them. According to Khorshid, Mehera was not the type to argue, having her own way. According to Meru, there were other reasons why Khorshid did not moved to Mehera immediately after Baba dropped his body. We knew that years before, Baba had asked a number of close ones to come and be with us in Mehera, to be there for Mehera, that Mehera should be taken care of, surrounded by love. Most of them, like Katie, Arnavaz, and Gayme's family, felt that coming to Mehera at such a time would not be right, would not be a help. Rather, the opposite. In 1969, Katie and Arnavaz stayed in Mehera for a few days, not only to be with the Mandali, but to deal with their own loss. Khorshid also came and wanted to stay here. She was permitted to come to Mehera quite often and knew it was all right to stay on short visits. She used to sleep with her bedding on the carpet in the sitting room, roll it up and place it someplace else in the daytime. But she did not take into account that to come to stay and to bring her aged mother, Sunamasi, also was quite a different thing. There was no space where to house them. How could Sunamasi manage things? This had to be taken into account. Mani and others tried to reason with Khorshid that this was not the time to create problems for Mehera and for us, but to help us at such a time when everyone was heartbroken. After all, we were facing the biggest problems in our lives. How and what to do in Mehera, how to live now, how to take care of Mehera. Later, that's Khorshid and Sunamasi's living arrangements, and other things could be sorted out. And though Khorshid herself was not happy that she was not staying at Mehera, she was not ready to cut her ties and connections with Bombay. That was page 555.
Mhm.
To break her ties and connections with Bombay also.
Either. Mhm.
Khorshid was very attached to a little child and her family, and wanted them to be somehow on the staff of Mehera. Even when she and Masi came to stay in rooms at Kushru quarters, which Adi gave them, Khorshid frequently went off to Bombay, leaving a woman attendant to take care of Masi. Katie came to live at Mehera 10 years after Baba dropped his body, when the new clinic was completed. The old clinic had been housed in Kaka's room and the adjoining room. Mani shifted her office to the attached room, and Katie occupied Mani's old office on the women's side. There was no extra accommodation in Mehera until it was created. No one was then in a state to think of doing that in 1969. Yet Khorshid, in her love for Mehera, cared deeply about trying to please her, and Baba had so often told her to keep Mehera happy. Sometimes we sit together and reminisce, Khorshid said. Mehera feels what happy days they were before with Baba. We never dreamed that these days without his physical form would come. As Adi Sr. says, the best of life was being with Baba, and now the worst is without him. Mani reiterated the same sentiment. It never occurred to me at any time that it will ever be, that we will continue to live and Baba would no more be with us in physical form, because we have not just visited Baba, not just been for a few years with Baba. There's nothing we have done on our own, nothing that was not from him, through him, by him, under his direction. And here suddenly We were on our own, but I tell you, Baba does it. I just couldn't believe it. We were happy just serving him. That's all we got, and that's all we still want. I or any of us who were with him cannot convey that there is nothing beyond that to want. I still tell people, long for what we received. As far as I'm concerned, it is the only thing worth asking for. It is not that you have anything less. It is a different angle, a different view of Baba. We must have longed for ages to be with him. Does not happen instantaneously. The very fact that you wish to know, the very fact that you would like to taste of that, it will come. The moment you ask for something concerning him, it is already given. The receiving will take time. How else could I have, from the very cradle, adored him, wanted to be with him, to do what he would want us to do, to be a little more worthy of the love he gives, is an opportunity that only comes once in a lifetime. If we had been with Baba for something, expecting something, waiting for, could you scroll up, dear? My controls cover the bottom couple lines.
Oh. Is that
If we
good?
had been with, yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks. If we had been with Baba for something, expecting something, waiting for something, then when Baba dropped his body, we would have felt something so incomplete that we would have felt lost, ruffled, all confused. But it wasn't like that, because we weren't with Baba for anything but himself, to please him, to love him, to do for him what he wants. This was just a continuation of doing what he wants. He wants this, the ultimate, living without his physical presence. All right, it just proves Baba's completeness. Otherwise, we couldn't have carried on. Did I miss a few sidebars?
Yeah, you
Maybe
did. I
maybe
think,
you could read them.
okay. So the sidebar on the previous page said, although such situations did arise, to be to be fair, there were usually practical and pragmatic reasons for changing Mehera's mind about something of which Khorshid was unaware. To the others, Khorshid's concern often made persuading Mehera to agree to that change much more difficult. I don't know what that relates to, but uh, let's see. This one says, Khorshid and her mother Sunamasi were living at Irani Mansion in Bombay, where Baba and Mehera had stayed several times in 1924. Khorshid moved to Meher-Nazar Kushru quarters, Ahmednagar in 1980, and she lived there for almost 20 years. She passed away on 4th August 1999. I don't know where this Irani mansion is in Bombay. Has anyone heard of it? No?
I think it was where the trust compound used to be, that whole set of buildings, Kushru quarters. Kushru, it was owned by like Kushru. Yeah.
It said it was in Bombay.
Yeah, it said it was in Bombay. It was probably just a home in Bombay. You know how they had names for housing. And I think I've seen the name, maybe in Lord Mayher or something, but I don't know exactly where it is.
I can look it up. Now we continue to do what we did with with Baba, but we have no more liberty of telling him sometimes, Baba, enough is enough, or Baba, you really want me to do this? Someone asked Mani, would you like to go back to those days when you were with Baba? To the golden olden days? Mani replied, not if we had to cross what we crossed in 1969.
Mm.
I think back on if we could be back with Baba reading to him in his room, how good it would be, but not if we had to go through again what we went through when he dropped his body. If we went back in the past, knowing we would have to pass through those days again, then never again. We weren't gradually brought into the world, we plunged headlong into it. Still, the only want is just to be with him, she concluded. I was with him from the time I was born, but it still isn't enough. Mehera said, Baba was with us all these years. We were in his physical presence. Now Baba wants us to be like this. He wants us to feel that he is with us. Baba says, if you've lived in my physical presence, now
Right.
live without it. Be happy in this experience also. He wants us to remember him and love him. Of course, everyone loves Baba. Each and every one of you loves Baba. He only wants to be loved. Mehera added, now I see what Baba meant by life is a dream, a film. When my father was alive, we had one kind of life. After he died, another, then at Sakori, then with Baba. Now this life without his physical presence, it's all a dream, really. In regards to dreams, Mehera herself had 3 dreams of Baba at this time. The first, just after he dropped his body. She did not remember much, except, she did not remember much except that in it, she was embracing him. In the second, Baba was standing with a vast multitude of people. There were no women, only men around him. In a circle, Baba was standing against the wall of a house next to an arch or a doorway. I found myself standing in the middle of an entrance. I felt so happy to see him. Baba is so near. I felt so happy. I went up to Baba and felt so much love for him. I saw his hand. He used to roll up his sadra sleeves when he was working. I caressed Baba's hands and I said, Baba, Baba, darling, how lovely, Baba. I was feeling his hand and held it, and Baba held my hand also. As soon as we were grasping hands, Goher came in and said, came in the morning to wake me up, and Mehera, it's time to get up, she said. I said, it's good you didn't call me a second earlier. It would have spoiled my dream. Mehera related the dream and Goher said, anyway, Baba held your hand. That was enough. Mehera did not remember the third dream of Baba clearly. It was 15 days after Baba had dropped his body. She saw that Baba was sleeping, lying on the floor. She was upset that he did not have a pillow. I was very concerned. I sat down and took his head, crossing my legs, placed his head on my lap. Baba looked at me and said he wasn't at all comfortable. Somebody else want to pick up, Rosalie?
Then I changed my position and put my legs straight. I made him rest his head on my lap, and it was okay. It was a very short dream. Baba looked middle-aged, about 40 or 43. His hair was back, and he was wearing a sadra. When I got up, I wasn't happy at all. It was nice to have dreamt of Baba, but then it was only a dream. The real thing, Mehera concluded, is to remember Baba wholeheartedly at the right time. He might even appear. I pray to Baba about certain things or for a particular person, but then we must leave it to him and be resigned to his will. Mani describes 3 dreams she had of Mehera. I am walking along Meherazad Road. I see the other women at the end of the road. By the lake, I turn around towards Meherazad, and I'm calling out as if for help. Something has happened. Something has distressed me in my dream, and I'm running. As I reach towards the gate, I stand still. I'm halted by a light round a tree. It's not a fierce light, but a bright light with a bluish tinge. I am walking softly now. Where's the light coming from? I find it's around this mango tree on the approach road, under which Baidu sat in a small makeshift cabin as watchman. I come slowly towards it, as if approaching a church. I turn round and face the tree. There in the alcove, hollow or grotto, where Baidu used to sit, plastered with white cement so the tree wouldn't die, as it was before the tree was removed. In there is Our Lady, the Madonna, seated. She has the blue mantle on and a small crown. She has this beautiful blue light around her, resplendent, radiant. There is so much joy in my heart. Automatically, I fall at her feet and put my head in her lap, and I'm so happy. I know this is Our Lady, Mother Mary. Then I look up and find that it is Mehera. I hide my face again in her lap. Again, I look up, and this time it is Mary. Again, I put my head down, and then I look up, and it is Mehera. Mehera, Mehera, Mary, Mehera. I am so full of joy, and again I bow down. Next morning, I ran to the tree. I brought flowers to the tree once a month or so. The tree flourished. The mangoes were very sweet. But in 1987 or so, it died in this terrible drought when we went to Pune. That's in Mani's dream book.
Really?
Yeah. Mani's second dream also illustrates Mehera's position. There was a deep canal of a river or ocean. Baba was on one side and Mehera and I on the other. Mehera dives into the canal and doesn't come up. She doesn't reappear at all. Baba takes off his coat, neatly folds it, and puts it down. He leans over to me, shakes hands with me, and I nod in agreement. Then Baba dives in to rescue Mehera, and I woke up. The dream means that Mehera represents creation, and Baba, taking off his coat, is dropping his body. Even in dropping his body, it is to save creation out of love, his love for creation. I nodded that yes, I would pull on as Baba has to go. In the third dream, the women Mandali were sitting around Baba. Mehera said she had to go to the bathroom. Baba asked how long it would take. 20 minutes, said Mehera. 20 minutes? Baba asked. Then he told Mehera, remember, eat well and sleep well. Mani often reminds Mehera of this dream, as she felt it was a message to Mehera to maintain her health. Mehru too dreamt of Baba once. Baba was seated in a chair while the women Mandali sang arti to him. He asked her what she thought when she bowed to him. And she answered, "To let us be more and more worthy of your love for us." She replied, "Good," Baba signed. In the ensuing years, Mehera's birthday was celebrated at Meherabad on 22nd December. And Baba's birthday was celebrated each year at 5 a.m. on 25th February. As she related, Mehera was always a sound sleeper. To get up early for Baba's birthday, she set the alarm clock next to her bed and put a tin can over it. Still, she would not hear it, and Goher, Mani, or Mehru had to wake her that day. Mehera described the birthdays after Baba dropped his body. The evening before, we tie flowers into garlands. I do Baba's room and place a ghee lamp flame there, which burns all night long, rising at 3:30 a.m. By 4, we were washed. We adorn the houses with vases of flowers and the doorways with flowered festoons. At 10 or 15 minutes before 5, we are standing in Baba's room, wearing our nice clothes. We repeat God's name softly to ourselves. The Iranis say Yesdan, the Parsis Ahuramasta. And the sidebar says, Mehera concentrated on Baba's photo as she repeated Yesdan. On the stroke of 5, we ring the bell and call out 7 times, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. We take darshan. The Mandali are also shouting it in the hall, concentrating on Baba. Then we come out of the room. The Mandali come to Baba's room. We stand on the veranda and say Jai Baba to them, and they say it back to us. We go to see their hall and how it has been decorated. Then back to the house where we garland Baba's photo, sing happy birthday, and put out the cables on the table. Shall I read that sidebar? On Baba's birthday, each of the women embraced Mehera. In Baba's time, they had embraced him, or Baba embraced Baba.
Yeah.
For the last many years, when Baba's birthday was celebrated at Meherazad, I so wished that Baba was here to see his lovers. She's weeping as she talks. How happy he would look. So happy. The look in his eyes. That's how I sometimes feel. But Baba can see you, each one. Baba can hear you, can see you. Only we cannot see him. That's the difference. But Baba wants to be loved. That is what's important to him. So he is happy with our love. But that love should be till the very, very end. Happen what may. Reminiscing another day, Mehera said, when I first came to Baba, that time comes so vividly to mind. It is all very vivid. I remember how I met Baba, hearing him sing, seeing him walking, having his lunch, how Baba used to talk and tell us a story. Baba's voice was really beautiful. You all sing and remind me of Baba's voice. Baba loved music. And when you sing, I say, Baba, your children sing to you. And I feel in my heart, Baba is telling me, yes, I love to hear them sing. How he enjoyed music. He loved songs and music. I only wish Baba was physically present to hear you all, so that you could see the joy shining in his lovely eyes. But then you would be so absorbed in looking at him, you wouldn't be able to sing so beautifully.
Thank you, Rosalie. Marvin, would you like to pick up?
You can't see him, but he can see you all. Ask him and he hears. He is God. You are lucky to have good voices to sing to Baba. Even now he can hear you. Baba was so lovely and beautiful. We have not enough adequate words to praise Baba's love, his beauty, his sweetness, his naughtiness. Baba was sweet, but naughty, Mehera repeated with a smile. Mehera continued to visit Meherabad for darshan every 2 weeks. Although she routinely wore a skirt and blouse at Meherazad, she dressed in a sari when she went to Meherabad. Before leaving, she stood before Baba's picture and asked him how she looked. To be at Mehera Baba's tomb when Mehera and the other women were present was to be in the holiest, most sacrosanct and sanctified of atmospheres. Inside the tomb, Mehera knelt to kiss Baba's samadhi, putting first her right cheek, then her left cheek on the marble, as she whispered, Baba darling, Baba darling. When she offered flowers, she kissed each rose first and held it to her heart before offering it to her beloved. While reciting the prayers, Mehera raised her eyes every so often to Baba's photograph, which had been placed in the tomb, and kissed towards it, remembering him always. As the arti was sung, Mehera's eyes remained focused on Baba's photo, whispering to him, weeping slightly, pleading with him, and pledging her love. Her prayer was this: Beloved Baba, may we one day be worthy of your beautiful love for us. Over the years, Mehera was careful not to do anything that might damage the samadhi. For example, she stopped applying a small bit of perfume to the sheet that covered the marble when others started doing it every day. To protect the marble slab, Mehera even stopped kissing or even placing her forehead on it. She was distraught when too many garlands were piled on the samadhi, feeling that Baba himself was actually burdened by their weight. To protect the murals inside the tomb, she never leaned against the walls, even when her back was aching. Said Mani, Mary used to be really upset whenever thorns were not scroll.
Yeah.
Whenever thorns were not removed from the roses offered on Baba's samadhi or in his room, she would make sure that each and every thorn was removed from the stems before the roses were offered to Baba. She said, the world has given enough thorns to God. His lovers must never do so. After coming out of the tomb and paying her respects inside Baba's cabin, Mary usually visited Kaikobad's family. Baba had once told the Dastur girls that after he dropped his body, Gulu and her sister Jalu should obey Mera and do whatever she told them, and they always respected Mera's wishes. By Baba's Gadi at Upper Meherabad, Mera revealed during one visit, now all the details come back to me about being with Baba. The big things about coming to Baba I remember, but all the little things, how Baba used to be seated on my bed at Meherabad and how I would cook food for him, now I appreciate it more than then. Of course, then I appreciated it, but now I think about how fortunate I am to have had Baba sitting on my bed, waiting for his food, and then eating it. How fortunate I am to have cooked Baba's food.
Do you
One,
want to have someone else take over?
it's up to you.
Well, I could take over.
Okay.
Thank you, Marvin. One day, Mara showed a group of us the tiny swing with Baba's photo in it in the cabinet in her room at Meherabad, which she had so painstakingly made. She sang the entire song, lullaby and goodnight to it, then kissed her hands and touched Baba's photo. Baba's body is in the tomb, she commented, but he himself is everywhere. His body was the coat, but he is present everywhere. There is also divinity in the samadhi because in that body God lived. Otherwise, he is at Meherabad just as much. We must not feel that Baba is just at Meherabad. Baba has left his coat, but Baba as God is everywhere, with all his lovers in every heart and everywhere. Maybe you feel Baba's presence more at Meherabad because he lived there so much. Walk there. Someone once asked Eric why people come to India if Baba is everywhere. Eric explained, it's like a bloodhound trying to locate a missing person. The bloodhound goes to the source where the person lived to pick up his scent and find his trail. Why do people often come back to India? Well, said Eric sardonically, sometimes you lose the scent. After having darshan at Meherabad, Mehera and the other women sometimes stopped at the home of a local Baba lover for lunch before returning to Meherabad. Once a year, when Mehera and the women came to Sheila and the author's house at Meherabad's for lunch, Goher remarked how nice it was that we had Baba's picture in every room. This was so important to Mehera, she observed, and narrated this incident. We once went to a Baba lover's home for lunch. Mehera did not see any photographs of Baba, and the people explained that they had one picture of Baba in their bedroom. Before having a meal or tea, Mehera would first offer it to Baba. The lovers offered Mehera tea, but she said she couldn't drink it before first offering it to Baba. Since she did not see Baba's picture, she could not drink the tea. She made them bring the photo of Baba and then had the tea. One pilgrim was impressed by Mehera's quiet, elegant dignity at all times, like that of a great empress. As Anita Viard pointed out, there was something unmistakably aristocratic about Mehera's bearing and manner. The author once mentioned this to Mehera, saying, "You are a real queen, Mehera. Being with you is like being in the presence of royalty. I feel like answering, 'Yes, Your Majesty,' to everything you say." Laughing, Mehera said, "It's a reflection of your love for Baba." That's nice.
Can I share something?
Sure.
Yeah, I feel very touched with the beauty and care that the men, there's half of us men, now Ralph Jackson is here too, are sharing. It was precious. I always feel so fortunate to be in a female body that I could be near Mehera. And yeah, anyway, you read so beautifully about this. It's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. This chapter is called Take Baba With You. I don't know if we should begin it because we're almost out of time. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should stop here and start here
Yeah.
next time.
Okay, so this is 263.
5, 5, 6.